Hello and welcome to today's live recording on the Rachel Varga podcast and the Rachel Varga Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you are new here, warm welcome. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so that you know when I go live and when new episodes are released. So I'm a board certified aesthetic nurse specialist with over 10 years in the industry helping people look good and feel their best. And I performed over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures, write academic articles, all that fun stuff. One of my passions is sharing how we can optimize our body, mind, spirit energy to bring forth a higher level of radiance and beauty. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the guests that I have lined up for today. We have Dr. Stacie Stephenson, aka the VibrantDoc. I love her name. So Dr. Stacie Stephenson is a recognized leader in functional medicine focused on integrative, regenerative, anti-aging, and natural medicine modalities. Her new self-care book, Vibrant, a groundbreaking program to get energized, reverse aging, and glow, hit shelves this March. Dr. Stephenson has dedicated her life's work to helping people create vibrant health from within to prevent chronic disease and recover from illness naturally. In addition to her functional medicine and anti-aging board certifications, she is a certified nutrition specialist and doctor of chiropractic. Dr. Stephenson is the founder and CEO of health and wellness media venture VibrantDoc and serves as the chair of functional medicine at Cancer Treatment Centers of America. She is also a board member for the American Nutritional Association, has partnered in a joint healthy communities venture with the American Heart Association, and is the vice chair of Gateway for Cancer Research, a nonprofit organization dedicated to funding breakthrough research in early stage clinical trials. Welcome, Dr. Stacie Stephenson, aka the VibrantDoc. It's great to have you on the show today.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me so very much. I don't think I can live up to that resume. I want to know who wrote that. It's all true, but gosh, when you hear it, you feel like you're at your funeral, right? It's your eulogy or something. It's like, do I really work on all that?
I know. Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. And it's always great just to give an introduction of some of the things that you're involved in and your credentials and all of that. So let's just get straight into it. Dr. Stacie Stephenson, what is your Vibrant Triad for wellness? And then I'm going to share kind of my secrets that I see my most vibrant clients doing as well.
Ooh, I want to hear those. You have beautiful skin, so I'm sure the glow part interested you on the cover of my book because I love the word glow. Everyone wants to feel good and look fabulous on the outside and the inside, but it comes from the inside. And what I love about the Vibrant Triad is I would candidly tell you when I was working on the book, I just was thinking of it as a visual because the foundations are what you put in your mouth, your movement and your activity, and your relationships and connection. And I thought of the Vibrant Triad as just a way to visually help everyone know that that is the holistic approach to how you want to approach your lifestyle and your forever classic lifestyle plan. So the Vibrant Triad, which we break down very carefully in the book, chapter by chapter, wins by wins. And at the end, you can see a completely 30-day plan. The recipes are there. You can learn how to do everything that we talk about in the triad. But at core, it's just a visual to help you remember the balance. Because a triangle, if we have the flat part of the triangle, right? We have our diet and our fitness. Oh, she's going to get a triangle. Yes. Yes. And at the top, our relationships and connection. If you flip that upside down, the triangle will fall over. So we tend to focus, I've learned over the years, on one or the other too much, i.e., what's the diet? Tell me the diet. What's the perfect diet? Do I do a carnivore diet or a vegan diet? Do I ketogenic diet? Do I fast? Do I intermittent fast? Do I do this? Do I do HIIT? I mean, it's gotten really tough, right? For people to figure out what is extreme and what is balanced. And then you move on to a fitness program. And so my goal in the book, quite frankly, was to stop the madness, deliver the science, deliver a lifestyle-based, forever classic program that you can follow, that you know what to do when you fall off the horse as well, because that's a tough part, right? When you work on a, quote, new diet or a new fitness program, what do? You usually fail after a few weeks. Everyone starts with the best intentions, but you still have to get up the next day and eat properly and move and relate with others. The Vibrant Triad encompasses those three pieces. And the question becomes, how can I help people be motivated and understand how to follow each of those each of those systems in a balanced form?
Balancing is really the key. Our body wants to be in a state of homeostasis. And there's a whole bunch of you guys hopping on live here. Please leave us your live questions in the comments section. This is really fun, keeping this live and interactive. And 100%, we need to look at, if we're thinking vibrancy for a second, I really appreciate your model. I like that. Body, mind, spirit, energy practices. When you have, say, for example, a physical injury, we think of Stephen Hawking's, right? He was brilliant. His mind was sharp. He was coming up with, physics and astrophysics, consciousness concepts, and his body was completely wavering on him. But it's almost like he was able to get more balance in his state by really up-leveling his mind, spirit, and energy, which is really interesting. And I'll share my observation with my most radiant, vibrant clients are usually women age 60 plus, and they've done the work. They've realized which type of body, mind, spirit, energy practices, diet, nutrition, all of that stuff will need to be modified depending on your specific genes, your epigenetics, and also what your body's going through at that point. So sometimes having a little bit of grace to maybe try something new, but if you're kind of still in that recovery mode, maybe don't try something brand new then. But focusing when we're thinking vibrancy on peace, love, joy, happiness, rejecting things like fear are going to keep you in more of a vibrant and, of course, grounded state, which is really, really important. So, Dr. Stacie Stephenson, how can people balance their diet, in your opinion, what you've seen work, how to live a long and healthy life? What are some key foods that you like to recommend for people?
Well, remember, you want to, number one is your food, which you've just said very eloquently. It is hard to make changes. We're not trained to eat correctly. And so it's okay. You do need to meet yourself where you are. What I have found over the years is it is tough to make large food changes because they're very culturally embedded. We don't get support from the traditional medical system that it really has anything to do with anything. Still to this day, I'll have patients that say, well, my cardiologist says it doesn't matter how I eat. It's true. People get those messages too much. It's not all the time, of course, but it is too much. You make a very good point about meeting yourself where you are. In the book, we share how you can create wins. At the end of each chapter, like say what you just said, maybe you have someone that's really struggling. They're more in a sort of maybe inflamed or more disease-oriented state, and they get overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, right? So my thinking there was many people are going to approach the book and they're really in trouble because people are often motivated to come see docs like us because they're in trouble. They're not getting better from the traditional ways and they're trying to figure things out. So they listen to podcasts, they read books, they look at diets, they look at all kinds of things. And I love that because it's about education and figuring out their best path. Once you've settled on something that you want to do, I wanted to give everybody a path at the end of each chapter. I have 3 wins that you can begin to gradually implement. So I don't expect people to read a couple of chapters and go perfectly gluten-free and dairy-free. But I do, here's an example of a win. Can you work on gluten-free and dairy-free for even a day? I literally start with 1-day marks. I start with 15-minute workouts. I start with, can you take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C? It's interesting how a lot of times I'll hear feedback, oh, we all know that. We know how to eat. We know how to take our vitamins. We know how to exercise. No, you don't. You know why I know? Because I only have to look around and see the obesity and see the cancer diagnosis, the cardiac diagnoses, the diabetes diagnoses, the strokes occurring, right? And I'm not throwing stones whatsoever. But I do feel we are in a culture where we're being thrown constantly diets, vitamins, nutritions, systems, and people that are suffering are left wondering, what do I select? And you just pointed out you do have to select it individually for you. But my additional intention in the book was to really stop some of the madness and say, what is the best way that human beings should be approaching their balanced health? What does the research show? And I don't overburden people with research. It's all cited in the book, but it's at the back, so you don't have to read it. You don't have to read it as you go, but everything's in there. So if I were ill right now, and I've gone through plenty of health challenges in my life as well, I would be asking myself, if food is medicine, and we know fitness is medicine as well, and we know relationship is medicine, which there's your Vibrant Triad. You're calling it body, mind, spirit. I call it the Vibrant Triad. Honestly, it's very similar. What would I be doing? How would I be approaching my health if I were really struggling right now? Or how would I be approaching my health if I were having a problem with weight? Or how would I be approaching my health if I were crossing over from that perimenopause to menopause realm, right? There has to be a foundational way that we just know how to care for ourselves every day. And we have to have a system to pick ourselves back up when we fall off. Because diets are famous, right? For failing. You get a holiday. Oh, it was a birthday. Oh, I was sad. Oh, I had some other thing. We never do it. But we also don't give people permission to get back on that system. I have to do it myself. I love telling people sort of like you were talking about your tips and secrets and such like that. I love sharing some of those very simple secrets because along the years, one that has really stuck with me over and over and over again is this feedback with food. So let's say you're going to really focus on a fresh food, eat real food. You decide, I'm going to eat that plant-based diet. I'm going to eat fruits and vegetables, and I'm going gluten-free, and I'm going dairy-free. And that is the basic diet in Vibrant. But saying you're going to do it and implementing it are two different things. And I found one really common mistake. Let's say you just choose this week, I'm going to elevate my eating of plants. I'm going to have my 3 vegetables every single day, or I'm going to have 1 large salad every day. Let's say that's your win. I've learned over time, patients would come back to me and say, this is really expensive. Because guess what? A lot of times food is so cultural and emotional. They go ahead and buy their comfort and emotionally and culturally linked foods also. I've learned this so many times. When people would come back and say something's expensive, fresh foods, organic foods, say it's even fresh frozen, I always say, tell me what else you bought. Show me a picture of your refrigerator, just for fun. Show me your pantry. And sure enough, or even show me your last week's receipt from your food and this week's receipt from just for fun, just show it to me. People tend to buy what they need emotionally, and then they buy the quote health food, and they keep both of them in their pantry and in their refrigerator. So one of our tips in the book is to do a true spring clean out of your kitchen, from the refrigerator to the pantry to the freezers in your garage that everybody has, but your secret ice cream. I mean, no sacred cows here. Get rid of the candy from your desk. I will never forget over the years when my staff would, doctor, we're gaining weight. Can we join the fitness club? Could that be our Christmas gift? This literally would happen like every other year. And I'd say, sure, I'll pay for the your fitness gym, membership, no problem. But would you open the drawers in your desk and let's take a look what's in your desk? And there was always candy, right? And crackers and all that sort of thing. So clean out your house. The studies show that if the food is there, you will eat it.
Yeah. Yeah. When we're talking about how food that's healthy for you is more expensive, I actually would really challenge people on this because when you are going to your local farmer's market, produce at the local farmer's market near where I live, that's organic. It's literally from farms on the island that I live on. It's actually cheaper. Yes. Getting that food, going to the local farmers markets, it's fresher, it's more nutrient dense than say what you're getting at some of the big box grocery stores. So we have to think about this. And fast food is extremely expensive. And I think right now people are kind of leaning into a little bit more takeout. And I was just doing a call right before this speaking with Dr. Erica Gray. She is the medical director for My Toolbox Genomics. And I'm just a really big fan of testing instead of guessing in regards to which key foods are going to be right for you. Something really simple. I mean, you have your doctor in chiropractic medicine. I'm sure you would know all about muscle testing and tip testing. We can actually get biofeedback if we hold something, and if we tip forward, sometimes that could be a good sign that it's good for us or not good for us. So you can actually just YouTube that muscle testing and tip testing. But
well, and you're relating to the sort of the intuitive messaging of the body, and intuitively we do know a lot. I love biochemical testing. I like blood analyses. I like urinalyses. I'm a laboratory rat at heart. I love being in the lab. But you make a very good point. You don't have to. I very much over the years have enjoyed the motivation that people get from actually doing some form of laboratory testing. It's very powerful for if you thought you were gluten sensitive and then you really see it, it tends to really motivate people, but it isn't absolutely required. So, in the book, I don't say you have to go get this test and that test and test that, because guess what? It's food. You can test it on how you eat. There is absolutely no side effects, right, to saying to yourself, I'm not going to eat red meat for 2 weeks. What exactly are you hurting? You didn't really need a special test for that, right? So I wanted the diet also to be very approachable and low tech, to your point. I love your farmer's market tip. That's a tip in the book as well. Growing a little bit of your own food, just a little bit.
Even your own herbs, right? Your own chives, rosemary, sage, thyme, oregano, mint. I pick those things and eat those on the go because there's so many hidden phytonutrients in those.
It is very easy. The farmers markets are a slam dunk. If you have access to that, I couldn't agree more with you on the farmers markets. It is so inexpensive. You're supporting those around you. They actually have flavor in the fruits and vegetables. Like you can actually taste the food. So yes, I'm with you 100% there. I'm not against in any way, shape, or form. Flash frozen organic is often cheaper than buying fresh organic. And I really also believe in blending for your budget. Choose those power foods. Get the kale at the farmer's market, but maybe you don't.
Kale's a niteshade. I'm not recommending kale.
Well, okay. Well, I still like kale.
It's still tasty.
Now, officially, it still is a high superfood. That being said, and you're probably talking a little more about the rheumatoid arthritis and nightshade inflammatory connections, and that all is out there. That being said, that's a good example for me where I would test. I would actually test someone and not try to sort of figure it out, because it can be maddening. The hardest patient to work with, it always makes me so sad, is the person, and there's a lady in the book that we talk about, that when they come into me and they're basically not eating anything because they think they're sensitive to just about everything. Well, I did this and I learned that I was sensitive to these 12 foods. And then I sent off for this lab and I learned this. And then I went to this other, whatever it is, integrative practitioner. I am one, of course, but, I went to somebody else and they said I'm allergic to this. And then I read a book and they said I can't do this. I mean, I've literally had people that are stuck not knowing what to eat. And there really is a foundational diet of human beings. We do need carbohydrate. We need fresh, whole, real food, right? We do need some protein, 100%, right? We've got to have the healthful fats. We have to have fiber. When in doubt, just eat real food. And then you mentioned the nightshades. You can get fancy down the road. But honestly, I feel like most people aren't, they'd have to learn what a nightshade is, right? And so we also don't want to cause them so much undue stress. We want to meet them where they are. With that being said, let's say you don't have a farmer's market. What can you do? That's a big question, because remember, most people in cities don't have the beautiful access that you do to your farmers on the island, which is wonderful. There are ways around it. I have found people do such wonderful creative things. The beauty of the internet, of course, you can connect with farmers in your state, even though you live in the city. You could organize essentially like mini co-ops with 5 or 6 of your girlfriends, and somebody goes out and drives an hour and a half one day and picks up a whole carload of veggies and wonderful things for your neighbors. I have seen people do just wonderful creative things with sourcing those foods. So don't be intimidated if you're in the city either. There are ways to do it. Community gardens are very popular these days in the cities, which I think are fabulous. And they're taking, pardon the pun, but they're taking root more and more as well. So I really never accept what you just said, that the organic and fresh whole foods are more expensive. Just try a little harder. You can do it. You really can do it.
Yeah, my sister actually, she was one of those people that was involved in a few different local downtown gardens, and she's actually starting a business now where she's actually going to be making some really great fresh organic herbs for our local community and following some really cool farming practices. So that's in my family. When we're talking about, you intuitively are going to know if something's bad for you or not good for you. And if you have a hard time with that, say you're not like my husband, who's a pro athlete and he just is so incredibly in tune with his body. Some of us have a little bit more difficulty discerning, but really noticing how you feel after eating that food. Are you more gassy? What are your bowel movements like? Are you tired? Or are you feeling refreshed? And I just want to talk about a really important concept here that you were kind of like getting to a little bit, but it's about getting into the energy and calling it in of vibrancy. So we don't want to think that, being healthy and being vibrant is, I have to do this to be healthy. You need to think of yourself as already being a vibrant and healthy being, because when you are embodying that and you have that around you and it's already being incorporated into your body, mind, spirit, energy, glowing skin, healthy skin, you're actually going to be, from an energetic, law of attraction type of standpoint. There's kind of like this really interesting esotericness to being vibrant and glowing and having some form of, even spirituality. And a lot of people look at their food, like my husband, as being sort of like their spiritual practice or exercising, if you will. So I'd love for you to just expand on what I mentioned there and your commentary.
I break down energy a lot in the book because as a scientist, energy to me, is very mitochondria, ATP. What is our gasoline of the body? Everyone, I'm sure you've shared with your viewers over and over again, our gasoline of the body is ATP. We have to create it from our food. It's a very complex process, and that's our cellular energy, our cellular gasoline. We have this scientific way to describe energy. It is true. We need to feed those mitochondria. We need to create that extra ATP. And as you well know, it's occurring in the muscles, which is a big part of why we need to have fitness. But I love what you said about just assuming and putting yourself in the space of who you are and who you want to be right now, because energetics are an interesting thing. You mentioned your husband is an athlete. I go on and on and on forever about exercise. I consider it an elixir. I literally consider it the fountain of youth. And it's because of the energy connection, not the visual connection. I talk about in the book that I feel women are trained in our culture that exercise is to make you skinny and to make you look good and to make, to carve you up and get the fake abs. Sorry, when I'm on Instagram, I just about die when I see the drawn on abs. By the way, ladies, you can't really get those abs the way they're drawn on and you can't maintain them. I don't mean not have any abs, but the extreme photos that ladies are being subjected to. You know what exercise is going to give you? It's going to give you energy. It's going to give you energy to feel good. You're going to look beautiful. You're going to be able to get through your day, to do your fitness, to serve your job the way you want to serve it, to enjoy what you want to enjoy. The elixir with energy, in addition to longevity, which we haven't even gotten into, and in addition to you look nice and trim and lower your body weight and your waistline, that's wonderful. But the real truth is you are creating cellular energy when you exercise, just like putting gasoline in your car tank. And I've learned over years that when ladies think of that, because oftentimes we think energy is going to be an expenditure, and there is an expenditure. In other words, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, so how the heck can I exercise? It's just not going to happen. That's how most of us feel. When am I going to do it? Am I going to get up at 4 o'clock now when I normally get up at 5? Am I going to do it at midnight when now I lose sleep? It's really hard. But you start where you are. Don't feel like you have to join gyms and exercise for 2 hours or anything like that. Let's start small. And if you can get in that energy mindset that, and this is the tricky part, expending exercise energy, using those muscles, actually gives you energy. So you have to pay a little, but you gain a whole lot more into the bank account. And I talk a lot in the book about, hey, ladies, let's just forget a little bit about sculpting our abs and sculpting our waists and having the perfect thighs and the perfect. It's sad. It's so sad because it gives people so much anxiety. I want you to have a great waistline. I want you to put the jeans on and put the skinny jeans on and feel fabulous. That's wonderful too. But I would tell you, I want to be able to get through my day. I want to be able to achieve my goals. I want to have my brain energy working. That's where I really want it. I don't want to be tired. I don't want to fall into bed at night. I don't want to tell someone, no, I can't do something because I'm just exhausted. I don't want any of that. And exercise can help you gain those energy reserves that you need. And so then the third area we talk about energy. So we've got food, we've got fitness and activity gives you energy. The third part is what you're talking a lot about, Rachel. And I use a term in energy that I begin to explain how most cultures other than ours have different ideas about energy. And you're very right. It's spiritual. It's the other part. It's the part that we can't see or feel or touch, but we can sense. And I don't really care what you call it. There are terms that we talk about: Native American, shamanic healing. I talk a lot about Ayurveda. I talk a lot about meditation. I talk a lot about prayer. I mean, everybody's in the tent. Honestly, when you look at world cultures, we all have terminology and we all have methods that sort of feed us this life energy. And we all just speak about it differently. But in reality, it's all the same. And it comes from your heart. It comes from your head. It comes from focusing with nature. It comes with focusing to your higher power, whether it's Jesus, whether it's God, whomever it is, that will feed you. And we don't think about that so much in health, but it is critical. That alone will give you the glow as well. So that's the energy that we don't talk about in science. That's the spiritual energy that you have to seek what works for you.
Actually, I don't know if you know this, but my great grandmother was the second ordained female evangelical minister in Canada. And then my great great grandmother was one of the first UK spiritualists to come over on the boat. That took like 6 months from the UK over to Canada. So I have a lot of that in my lineage. And if you look at Europe, in particular UK, there's this whole subset of spirituality and medicine, and this is substantiated. It is in alignment with a few universities. There's clinical papers. There are like science and spirituality conferences happening with very legitimate physicians and PhDs and all of that. And just a quick disclaimer, whatever we talk about here isn't medical advice. It's educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician. And when you were talking about exercising, you're kind of moving your chi if you're thinking about that from a TCM perspective. You also mentioned if we feel a little bit drained, yes, sometimes moving just gets all that flowing and increases your oxygenation to your brain. So even if you're really tired and you're like, oh, I don't have the energy for this, sometimes even just going for a walk, doing some rebounding on your trampoline can help. Also on the flip side to feeling drained, and this is what I've heard from a number of people, my close compadre, friends, family, is that we're almost like too much energy, right? So this is what we are experiencing now in regards to like mainstream narratives. It keeps you in that high beta state, if you will, which is the state. So we have beta, delta, theta, and gamma. Beta is what we're in when we are giving
On screen,
attention to things.
right?
Yeah. And also, what happens if we haven't grounded our energy, we become too positive. We have this develop over accumulation of protons in the body. So, when we're talking about cellular processes, that can make things get out of whack. So, even just something as simple as contacting the earth for a couple minutes, taking your shoes off, we're talking barefoot, I go in the ocean to get that grounding, salt cleansing for etheric and human biofield optimization as well. There's so many layers to all this stuff, and just kind of take what feels good to you and what resonates with you.
And I think taking those moments with nature, that's what you were touching on. We know through studies, as you just said, we can visualize nature in our minds. We can go out and experience it as well, and we will shift the waves in our brain. It's proven. It has been studied. We know that even just through simple biofeedback. I mean, that's decades old research. But nature can do that for you as well. It's interesting when you were sort of saying that the overstimulation, I wasn't sort of thinking of it as excess energy. I'm still finding at the end, mostly people complain of not having enough energy. But what I was hearing you describe is the frenetic, non, non sort of non-connected energy. I would call it almost where you're sort of spilling out, where there's no focus, right? There's no actual sort of grounding. I like that term. I think a lot of times people can understand that grounding. Our attentions are going 15 miles an hour. By the way, to your listeners, you can't multitask. There have been studies that have shown that you cannot. Our brains are not designed to do what we all think that we can do. You know about car accidents, of course, with texting and phones and all that sort of thing. It's because you cannot multitask. Guess what your brain does when you're trying to multitask? It takes shortcuts. It literally takes shortcuts, which are called heuristics. And that means, oh, I can do my cell phone and I can talk on this other, I can text and I can talk and I'm driving and then I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm driving. What? Your brain can't do it. You think you're doing it, but what happens is your brain literally takes shortcuts and chooses information to exit in the moment because you only have so many neural pathways when you're present. So I really felt like you were talking a lot about presence. And if you're feeling that excess energy, but you know you're on the phone all the time, right? And you know you're at your job and you know you have a high stress lifestyle. The truth is you probably need to contain and conserve a little bit of your energy, whatever you happen to call energy, whether it's you need more for exercise, whether it's you need more to shop, whether it's you need, that meaning shop for groceries, whether you need to get more into your spiritual practices, to your very point, those will feed you energy as well. So I like what you said about the almost having excess, because when I think more about that, I also think about insomnia and sleeplessness because we are being overstimulated. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about sort of clean up your life, spring detox. One spring detox that I've been talking a lot about lately is cleaning up your sleep environment and getting rid of the screen time at least 2 hours in advance. By the way, I have trouble doing this, but when I do it, I, it's like, it's just a whole different experience for me. If I can even put down the screen time for at least an hour before bed, and I would candidly tell you, I love like 3 hours. And it's like the world opens up in a whole different way. Whatever you happen to be doing, if you get time to take a bath, if you get time to spend some time with your significant other, if you get time to spend with your dog, if you get to go outside and look at the moon, right? Or look at the stars or go put your toes in the ocean like you were just saying. That's my favorite as well. I'm right there with you. I'm an ocean girl. I might as well be a mermaid. Love it. I can't live without it. That's very grounding to me. But find that place for you that gives you calm. It might, as I said, it might be prayer. It might be putting your toes in the grass. It might be putting your toes in the sand. But you know what it is for you, where you just feel collected and more calm. And quite frankly, creativity will come out of that. You'll solve problems in your life by kind of getting rid of those devices a little bit, getting some grounding, clean up your bedroom. Get the clutter out of your bedroom.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
there are
that you
only two
mentioned
things going on in the bedroom.
I love that you mentioned sleep, and I've done many episodes talking about the Aura Ring and how we can use these devices to clean things up. Blackout blinds are great, using really great mattresses. I've talked about my favorite anti-aging pillow. Getting some good air purifiers in your room as well
And
are really,
plants,
yeah, definitely some plants in
green
there for
plants,
sure.
not fake ones.
Yeah.
Not fake ones. No, remember, if you're going to invest in an air purifier, do it in your bedroom.
Yeah, oh
If you
yeah.
can't afford to do your whole house.
I have them in every single room in my house, actually, and they're pretty quiet. They're pretty affordable. I have an
They
interview with
are.
David Milburn from Hypo Air. You guys can check that one out. I
Terrific.
love that you mentioned prayer. And everybody listening, they know my background. I'm a Christian. I'm happy to say that. Definitely, that's my spiritual lineage, and whatever yours is, hey, that's cool. As long as you're coming from a place that's love, joy, peace, all of that, trying to do good work in the world, that's awesome. But don't downplay how prayer can really give us peace, and asking for that peace and calling that in. Based on spiritual law, you can't access things necessarily until you ask
You
for
have
it.
to.
Because if you don't ask for it, then you're not going to receive it, because that would be an intrusion. I want to ask you one final question here. What do you recommend for increasing natural energy and staving off aging?
Wow, that's a really long list. Sleep, we just touched on. And I'm assuming you've done episodes on sleep. So, yeah. So I'm not going to sort of keep harping on that one, but it is so critical. It is just incredibly critical. Your exercise, incredibly critical. I know you share this with your viewers all the time. Do what you can do. And if you've stopped exercising, just get back to it. And choose your poison. Don't feel like you have to join a gym and learn a new program. You don't. There's so much accessible that you can just do right at home, and you'll start feeling better. I do love supplements and nutritional support. One fabulous energy pick me up in fact, I took it before we got, is an herb called astragalus, which I love. It's just a fabulous energy pick me up. It is from TCM, from traditional Chinese medicine, but it's not real expensive, and it's not rare. It's usually a lot of times in those energy formulas that are more Eastern medicine oriented. I love ginseng. I love American ginseng. As you know, there are many types of ginsengs that do different things, but sort of the most approachable that most of us can take is ginseng. I love coenzyme Q10 to aid with your energy as well, EPA, DHA. And those are getting into some fairly sophisticated nutrients and herbs. But, if I had to say, energy on a budget, select what you eat. Yeah, period. Just every meal should serve your needs for your daily energy versus reducing your needs. So, you know what I would say if somebody just said, "What's just one thing to help my energy with what I'm eating, doc?" And I can't afford to really overhaul all my food. Get rid of sugar. Just get rid of it. Cut it as much as you can. If it's too tough to cut it in half. So I work on a principle in the book also that I affectionately call the rule of halves. And that means when you're struggling to stop your coffee, when you're struggling to cut out the sugar, or you're struggling to stop those potato chips, or whatever is your poison, or you like too much chocolate, or whatever it is that you like, just cut it in half. Because interestingly, our brain and our physiology will not notice the difference. You generally will not go into coffee withdrawal. Say you're on 4 cups a day, and you you should quit. You want to quit, or you want to get down to 1 cup. Just start with a half. You probably won't get the headaches or some of the withdrawal symptoms. The same is true for sugar. So if you unfortunately are going for the candy bar every day at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock, eat half of it. You'll probably be fine. And in a week or two, you can get rid of the whole thing. So, it's still the traditionals. Cut down the alcohol, cut down the caffeine, get rid of the processed sugar, and just eat real food.
When you mentioned EPA and DHA, if you're watching the episode, I just actually took mine. So what I do is I put my healthy snacks kind of out that's more visible for me to see, like fresh
Yep.
fruits and veggies, like bananas and whatever. Avocados, they're out so I can see them. And then with my supplements that I take, some of my favorite ones you can find at rachelvarga.ca. I work with Health Canada approved ones that are backed by third-party lab testing. Third-party lab testing for your supplements is really key, so that you're not just buying products that, the company's making these claims, they've done their own research and
Yeah.
decided to leave out the stuff.
Subject of a whole other
Totally.
whole other episode.
But leave out your supplements and your food when you're going to where you're going to see them, right? Because if you put all your supplements and your healthy snacks hidden away in a cabinet, you're kind of less likely to see it. And yeah, I actually met with my nutritionist to focus on brain optimization. She's like, Rachel, maybe cut down your caffeine. I actually went without coffee for a couple of days, and I was really surprised with how well I did, but I certainly missed the taste of it. So, just kind of in moderation, but definitely not as much as I used to.
I agree. I love your leaving the supplements out. In fact, I myself, I put things on my desk. I put things in my vanity. I put certain supplements in my kitchen. I put it in my gym, and I just divide it all out. Because if it's not convenient, I found I would skip. And I'd say, oh, well, I'll get to that. And then it's the end of the day and you missed another dose. So I like that idea. Leaving food out, I don't do that. But I get what you're saying. I'd rather you leave healthful food out than the unhealthful food out. I'm with you. And at the desk, I love it. I love leaving those healthful snacks at the desk. I think people will be less likely to grab the coffee and the sugar by having those healthful snacks right at their fingertips. I love that tip as well, Rachel. Fabulous.
Yeah, just on the counter, just like have your bowl with like some fresh fruits and
Amen.
veggies that you can
Love
munch
it.
on so that you see it. So, Dr. Stacie Stephenson, where can people find you? How can they work with you? How can they pick up a copy of your book?
Thank you so much. All you have to do is go to VibrantDoc.com or anywhere where books are sold. Easy.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Stacie Stephenson's links are going to be in the show notes. So be sure to give some love, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing, Dr. Stacie Stephenson, and helping people really understand how they can live more vibrantly. This really is the key to long-term health. And I really wish that these types of concepts were taught in school and all of that. And there's a lot of great research available for free just on platforms like PubMed. You can just search things that you're interested in looking at. Those types of articles you generally do have to pay to see because they're associated with the journal, but you can at least read the abstract and kind of get like an overview of the objective in the article. You'd be surprised how many little tidbits of information are in there. So do you have any closing words for us, Dr. Stacie Stephenson?
Oh my, step at a time. Meet yourself where you are. Whatever program you choose to work it gradually, a little bit every day. You really can transform yourself in a very short time, 3 or 4 weeks. You would be amazed with just some small changes in diet, small changes in fitness, small changes in your spiritual life. You really will feel better. Trust Rachel and me.
Yeah. And when it comes to the skin cell cycle is about a month, and that slows down as we age. So when you're using products, you want to give yourself a little bit of time to see results. If you have any questions about that, please reach out to me at rachelvarga.ca, book a one-on-one session with me, and it would be my pleasure to help you navigate what you're doing at home and in clinic and keep you on the straight and narrow and really avoid those gimmicks that are out there. And I'll share with you quite candidly what I've seen help my thousands of clients over the last 10 years look and feel their best. It's just been a pleasure having you on the show, Dr. Stacie Stephenson, and everybody tuning in. I'm so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. I trust that you were able to glean some information to help you continue to live your most beautiful and vibrant life. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Bye, everyone.